evening, everyone. You're listening to Eagles on Air through the Sportanarium stream, and tonight it's Ben and Alex and myself going to talk all things Palace. But before we speak about the game against Fulham today and some very interesting points that we'd like to discuss, we're gonna flip it today. We're going to talk about something positive and the Brighton game. Whilst the game wasn't fantastic, the end result was, and I just want to check how you boys are feeling after that. I mean, what an absolute steal of a game.
That's a proper old school sort of Palace smash and grab, isn't it, really? And yeah.
The proudest thing for me was watching the back, and especially Cahill. And the last two games, I know we're going to touch on Fulham soon, he's just reminded me of John Terry. He's just throwing himself at absolutely everything. He's trying to be the captain at the back, if you like, and I think he definitely deserves the recognition because he's been fantastic for me.
He's been proper solid. I mean, just going off piece there, Ben. It's quite an interesting point you're making about a player throwing themselves at everything. I mean, I did notice Lewis Dunk threw himself backwards at the end, final whistle. It was quite nice. I mean, the posture, the pose was really good. The way he kind of bent his back. I mean, I was a bit concerned about some possible fractures and stuff to him, but he obviously took it well and he did it well. So fair play to Lewis Dunk, and it's nice to see a bit of emotion in a man. I think, especially in this day and age.
I was a little bit worried that the scoreline was going to pave over. Don't get me wrong; it's fantastic, 3 points, rivals, but I mean we. Apart from at the back at times, we were dreadful in that game. You look at the stats. I mean, how did we win it? Even the pundits at the end of the game were just like, "This is football. This is why we love football, because you can get one team that completely dominates and a team that steals it. And there's no other word for it. Is we definitely stole that game.
It's quite. I mean, obviously, just to rub it in a little bit, but to have. Imagine being, I mean, obviously we've got our issues that we speak about, but imagine being a club that does play attractive football. Let's not deny that. But just imagine watching your club take 66 attempts at goal, 20 on target, and don't win a thing.
That must hurt.
I mean, it's bad enough at our place. Fair enough. And it's a massive improvement that we need to make in terms of number of shots. But the output that they generate is absolutely nothing. I mean, we all sort of look at teams when they get penalties. In my opinion, forget it's Brighton for a moment. The fact they missed 2 penalties this weekend as well. It's criminal to not score off a penalty. A professional footballer, top right-hand corner, top left-hand corner, no keeper is saving that ever. So to miss 2 penalties in one game is so poor, and to miss the chances that they create as a team is just so poor.
Just as well, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. We're all rejoicing, and an amazing 3 points and over your arch rivals. Couldn't be happier over that. Couldn't be happier.
Is it ironic that that's the football that we want to see? We want to see some shots on goal.
Well, listen. I mean, let's take it back to basics, boys. How do you win a game of football? What's the primary thing you need to do to win a game of football?
Score.
And attack.
Yeah.
Attack means you've got the opportunity to score. But if you don't do either one, you don't shoot and you don't attack, how can you physically win a game? It's just not possible. And I fail to understand why we don't do that.
Yeah, it always looks like to me lately that we're scared of going forward, but we're more concentrated and more confident in going back because we know we can hold out. But we're always going to go back to the base of maybe seeing that Brighton game repeat for the next 4 or 5 fixtures. But against bigger teams, we're not going to be able to hold out on that.
I'm trying to think of what interview it was after the Brighton game. One of the players talked about going back to basics, and I understand that we've leaked in a lot of goals, and I sort of get that you want your defensive stability, but you've got to create something the other end. Otherwise, the best you're going to get is a point.
Well, I mean,
talking about points,
it's a good point that you make, Ben. The football that Brighton are playing, despite being our arch rivals, let's take a step back and just respect the football they're playing. It is fantastic football. All they're missing really is someone at the top to put it away. I mean, Morpay is clearly not the answer for them. Again, he showed that against us. He made it easy for us to defend against him. So and the other strikers that they've got are not going to get the goals that they need. But ultimately, the point that you make about wouldn't it be nice to see that type of football played? Absolutely. And you've got to respect Potter for making his players play that way. He's good. It's great to see, and it gives them the opportunity to win games, of which they've won some fantastic games this season, but they're still banging trouble.
But look what you can do with nothing players. No disrespect, well, a little bit. But look what you can do with nothing players. Imagine putting that compared into sort of our infrastructure of starting 11, even the first team. Imagine that sort of style and what we could do with the likes of Benteke, Zaha, Eze, Batshuayi. Why aren't they capable of doing
it? We've been there though as a team where we've had some excellent football and we've just lacked that striker for so many years in this league, and now it seems that we've signed one and it's pointless because we can't produce anything for him.
Oh, we also lined one. He doesn't even start.
The thing with the striker aspect, I mean, Mateta done exactly what he's there to do.
Yeah.
Last man, ball came in from Ayew, and let's not take away how good Ayew's been in the last couple of games. His work rate's been. It's like he's woken up and he realised what that game meant to the Palace fans and Palace in general. And he was man of the match for me against Brighton. He was unbelievable. He didn't stop running. He didn't stop trying. He didn't stop trying to take the ball on. But Mateta done exactly what he did for Mainz. He was on the last man. The ball's come in. He's gambled, and he's done what he's done. And it was what a goal to be your first goal.
Nutmegs.
What an opponent to do it against. So he'll be highly regarded on the back of it, and a lot of people lauded over him. But I don't really understand Hodgson. Because yes, Benteke got the winner, but they're both in confidence after that game. They're both thinking, "No, this is good. We've got a goal each. Why don't you play them together?
I think
a chance to play together against Fulham instead of this defensive midfielder rubbish that we keep insisting on."
I think you've hit the nail on the head there with the defensive part, because Benteke is going to be on the halfway line. He's going to hold the ball up. And I think Mateta's different to that. I think he'll be playing to get in. And Hodgson doesn't seem like he plays that style of football. What I did want to say is Townsend puts in a wonderful ball on the left, from the left, and Benteke scores. And then we start the game and he starts back on the right again. It's infuriating. Why is he not playing on the left-hand side? He doesn't have to cut back. His right foot's not bad. I'll give him that. But he doesn't have to cut back. He gets that yard of space. He can whip the ball in.
Yeah, and you've nailed it there, Ben. I've said that all along. I don't understand it. Wilf's a right-footed player.
He's on the right.
Plays on the left. Yeah. Townsend is the opposite. Plays on the right. Put it on the right foot, the correct foot that they're going down, the correct wing that they're going down.
He doesn't even swap them over. He does. You normally, if they want to do that, we had Balassi on the left, Wilf on the right. Then Holloway would just get him to switch over randomly, mess up the whole back four. It's just kind of they end up got to chase and track a player. They just keep swapping over. But you'd think that would be implemented here, but Roy doesn't even do that.
Well, he doesn't do anything. I mean, we've said this in previous shows, like about Allardyce. Say what you like about the guy. He did a full analysis of each player. He understood the strengths and weaknesses and went, well, there's absolutely no point in doing that with you. But with you, I need to do that. And that's exactly what he did. With Hodgson, you don't understand any of the players. It's like, well, I mean, I've got an injury. I've got Wilf out. He normally plays on the left because I always put him on the left. And what I need to do is I need to put Maya on the left when we had him. I need to put Eze now on the left when they're not wingers. And this is we spoke about it just off air before we started, Ben.
Right, logic.
The reason why Eze is not producing what he could produce and what he has done already in a couple of games is because this defensive mentality is drummed into every single player. You need to make sure, look round, see that the defence isn't under any pressure or the ball's going to come that way if you play it forward. So if he looks up and no one's going forward, his natural disposition, and you'll see it so often now, is no one's there, turn around, play it back.
Yeah.
Which completely takes him out of the game, completely stops him doing what he's best at. And he, at the moment, without Wilf, he's the danger man.
Yeah.
But Hodgson doesn't understand him as a player and he's nullifying his threat. And that's no good for us. So all of a sudden, when you've gone forward 20 yards into their half, you turn around and go all the way back. And so often it ends up going back to the keeper. The keeper then looks up, there's no option.
Yep.
He then boots it upfield and the ball comes back and we're under the cosh. It's just really stupid, inept tactics that are putting us under pressure where we're not winning games or we're not even giving ourselves a chance.
Negativity come through the team. There's negativity struck, especially the worst thing you can do, negative strikers. They're the most ones that invite them a bit of pressure and then they can deal with it, go forward. But for the attacker to go backwards, that's a big no-no. That's a big fuck up.
And I've said it all along. With Benteke, game after game after game, the guy is dropping deep to hold the ball up or to flick it on. But when he flicks it on, we lose possession straight away because it goes straight back to the team we're playing against. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're going to do that, pull Chiarte out of defence and put him in the midfield because he's one of our tallest players. And if we're going to launch the ball up with the actual tactic of knocking it on, let Chiarte knock it on so it goes to someone like Benteke. Because if that's what you're going to do, that's what we need. And then Benteke can hold it up, put it out wide, turn around, run 10 yards into the area, and then we can cross it in and give ourselves a chance for him to do what's best, which is in the air. If the ball's played up to him in the air and it's played up well, we know that there's a strong chance he's going to be on the end of it and either force a save or score.
Nailed it with that one. Yeah, I completely agree.
If you do it the other way around, where you're saying, right, drop 25 yards deep, Benteke, launch the ball up to him, for him to hold it up, which he does quite often on his chest, turn around to look at what's available to him, and there's no one there, all he's going to do is keep doing the same bloody thing, straight back to the defence.
Yeah.
It's just taking him out of the game, and it's not even, there's no threat from Benteke. And then the Palace fans and the whole of sort of social media starts getting on his back saying, oh, he's absolutely useless, he can't score for toffee. Well, no, it ain't him.
He doesn't have no options.
There's no options, and Hodgson's creating the problem. He's manifesting it, game after game.
Negative.
Well, you touched on it there, Steve, about Selhurst Park, and we talked briefly off air about going with the football the state it is. And you made some interesting comments about that, but I'd hate to be Hodgson if the crowd was there. I really would.
He's only employment because we're not there.
It does feel like that.
It's a given, isn't it? If we were all up there, the toxicity of the atmosphere would be absolutely appalling, and Parish would have done something by now. We're all surmising about what's going on, but Parish is holding out because we can't afford as a club to sack Hodgson because we've got to pay out the rest of his contract, which will be a few million.
That says a few sets of alarms off, to be honest. And you've got to look at it this way. He's banking. He's a massive gamble. It's one of his biggest gambles that I think he's made during our Premier League status. That he's gambling on us crawling across the line without having to sack Hodgson because he ain't going to leave. Let's face it, he's not going to leave. So he ain't got to pay compensation to release him early off his contract. So we can obviously be looking for someone new right now just to kind of turn over and kind of join in and like flush, just straight, quick transition sort of thing.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I just felt like after that Brighton win, I just thought, right, come on, boys, we stole that.
Yeah.
Let's go up the gears now. Let's get bits. There was glimpses against Fulham, but it just wasn't enough, and it just the focus seems to be just on defence, and it's infuriating because even when there's opportunities to go forward, we go backwards.
I'll be honest, I've never huffed and puffed as much as I did all the way through that Brighton game. I was just so frustrated, so annoyed watching it. I couldn't believe that we just didn't seem to want it. Yes, we won it. Don't get me wrong, you can't deny the facts. We won it, we got the 3 points, and we absolutely stole that game and that result. But aside of RU, I couldn't see any passion, any desire from anyone within our side. And the fact that Hodgson had the audacity to stand there and say, "Oh, the team is up for this," and then play like that. Clearly, they're not up for it. They're not one of our squad is interested in what Hodgson's got to say. They're not interested in the tactics. They're not interested in what's been drilling. They're just doing it because they're paid to do it, and they've accepted that there isn't any other choice. And I think a lot of the squad are just looking forward to the end of the season. And Hodgson, I reckon, has told them he's going at the end of the season, and they've accepted that. But at the end of the day, people like Luca know that they can play the way that they play. But next game, it doesn't matter because they're still going to be in.
The only thing that's going to stop him from getting played is at picking out how many yellow cards.
Yeah,
that's the only thing that's going to stop him from playing, getting suspended.
I think we need to build a team around Gyro. I can watch Gyro. He just needs one touch. He'll give it. He'll take it, and he just seems to want to move us up the pitch.
Gyro shows that he's the one of the most passionate. To be honest, you've seen some of the incidents when he stomps his feet when passes don't go forward enough, and he sets it up and he starts it, and you can see the frustration in him.
I agree with you, Ben. We need to build it around him, but the problem is all the way we've got Hodgson. He's not thinking, I'm going to build it around him. I'm building it around two people in front of the back four or back five. He's not thinking we don't need two people there. He's thinking it's a necessity, and that's why we consistently play like that. And as I said in previous shows and previous chats, is come at us. The team that I'm playing against, come at us, because we can soak it up and we'll get you on the counter. But we haven't got the skill set or the ability or the consistency to get them on the counter. Yes, we do at times, but the majority of the time, we just accept mediocrity, and it's just not acceptable anymore. It honestly isn't.
It's painful to watch. I saw a tweet that said, if it wasn't my team, I'd turn it off. And I couldn't agree with that anymore. If that was two other teams I was watching, I'd be like, no, this is going straight off.
Well, I mean, I sent you boys, obviously, in the day, Matt Woosnam, obviously one of the journalists, he was saying that Hodgson said today, on this decision not to bring on Mateta, Benteke was doing an excellent job and plays a role for us defensively, especially from set pieces. And you couldn't make it up. All he's focusing on is a striker being defensive-minded player.
Well done, boy.
What? You know, and the fact he then went on to say, I didn't see what JP could do to make a difference in us seeing the game through as we did. Hello?
Score a goal.
He's a striker.
Oh my God.
Get him on there. He might actually take a shot. He might actually score. Rather than you telling Benteke, make sure you're defending well. What the hell is that?
Did we have a shot on target in that game?
No.
Another one.
Another one.
So along with the FA Cup game against Wolves, that's now 8 games. That's a third of the games that we've played this season. We haven't registered a shot.
That's disgusting.
And it is absolutely disgusting, Alex. The fact that the man then stands there at the end to be interviewed and says, I was really proud of the players today. The fact that they really, really saw the game through and defended really well. Sorry, we saw the game through. We drew with Fulham, who are third bottom. No disrespect to them, but they're third from bottom, and we're at the home side, and we didn't register a shot. You couldn't even tell that we're the home side. And every single game this season at home, aside of the Leeds game, you would say that we were the away side every single game.
The problem is,
it's so poor.
He comes up
United, like Barcelona.
Well, we'll be in trouble when we play one of the top six. But the problem for me is that he comes out of it smelling like roses, because he'll go, well, the last 2 games, I've got 4 points. Fulham have been playing really well. We kept a clean sheet against them. And we beat Brighton, who have been playing really well. And then we're like, what do you say? I mean, we all know that it's not acceptable. We're watching it, absolutely fuming. But it is what it is, 4 points.
I think he's an incredibly lucky manager. Individual brilliance has won us the points again this season, and the oddball accounts on social media will insist that it's down to Hodgson, that it's down to his ability to get this team going, and it's categorically not. You know, it's games like against Sheffield United where Eze's gone on a 60-yard run and scored. It's games like Brighton where Mateta and Benteke have scored unbelievable goals to win us the points. You know, even PVA against United, you know, at the end and winning at their place. The game against Leeds where Eze's free kick started it all off, and we beat them 4-1. That's the only game at home that we've really gone for it. You know, and even sort of away at West Brom, you know, aside of the red card, you know, that was a brilliant performance from us. So it's there, the players are there, but it's only when they ignore what he's saying that we win the games. It's when we stick to what we're told to do, we just crumble, we just self-implode, and we just look horrific. And I can't understand for the life of me how Parish isn't looking at it thinking it's not acceptable.
He knows deep down it's not acceptable, but there's not much he can do about it because he's expecting us just to crawl over the line. And that's basically what we're going to do. We're just going to make it.
But the major problem is that he's employed the guy to keep us in the league. And as it looks at the minute, it's mission done, isn't it? But
that's the way he looks at it.
It's horrific.
He must do. Away.
It's sort of like the players have gone on holiday, really.
Got the flip-flops on already.
You only have to look at Fulham. You know, Anguissa's quality. They got Loftus-Cheek on loan. They got Lookman, who looks an absolute steal at the price they've paid for him. They've got all of these players that are attack-minded. I mean, they really put us under the cosh. You know, they had countless attempts at the goal, and if it weren't for Gaeta again, you know, and a massive emphasis on again, we would have lost that game, and we would have, you know. Everyone's then talking at the end, oh, it's a credible draw, that Fulham have been playing well, it's a great point. No, it's not. We're playing the third placed team in the league. Where is the ambition to take teams to the sword and try and win games? You know, 8 seasons in, and we're just sitting there going, oh, well, you know, it'll be good if we survive.
Fickle.
Why?
We got to be moving more than that, rather than just 42% possession. Wow, that's disgusting at home to Fulham. No disrespect to Fulham, and then 0 goals.
But it just feels like a matter of time against any team. Like even against Fulham, I was sat there thinking, oh, I've won some money. I might just chuck it all on Fulham, because they look like the team. If there was going to be a team that scored, all I kept thinking was, if they get a goal, we're buggered.
Yeah, we're not calling back.
No.
And the thing is, every single match I see on social media of late, what's the first goal conceded bingo number? It always happens, and they always put it within the first 10 minutes.
But that's the thing, Alex. You nailed it, because when we do go behind, name a game where we've gone behind and won.
Not this season, I can't think of.
Not this season. I can't even think of one last season. We just crumble. It's like, oh, we've gone behind, but guess what? We still need to defend.
Yeah.
No. How do you think you're getting back in this game?
Rather than trying to make it 1-1, they looked try and stop it, making it 0-2 every single time. I don't know. Rather than that mentality, tell yourself, right, it's 0-0, let's get back. But obviously, they're being drummed in their heads. There's so much negativity sort of play. They're looking at everything. Oh, damn, we're 1-0 down. Let's stop it from being 2-0 down.
Here's a question for you boys. I mean, I was thinking about this today. If fans were in the stadium, yes, it'll be toxic. But do you think, they've been sort of massive stalwarts in terms of the atmosphere and integral to everything that goes on in that stadium when we're playing? Do you think that the fanatics would be on Hodgson's case as well?
Right. Oh yeah. It would be very somber. They'd be almost not protest silence, but it wouldn't be doing as much as they normally.
I agree with Al. I just think it'd be eerie quiet. I think people would be so frustrated that there would just be silence, and it would.
Silence, you'd be able to hear Ray Lewington.
But in a way, I'm glad, because I think that if the crowd got on the players' back, we'd crumble. I think that it can't really get any worse.
Not many excuses. Yeah.
But we're getting the ball, we're going backwards. Imagine every time we went backwards, the crowd making a noise. And then what do the players do? They try and maybe force a pass. It gets turned over. We're under the cosh again. I mean, I know we're under the cosh pretty much every game at the minute. But I don't think it would help the players. And they're the ones that need the help at the minute to sort of see us over the line. I mean, a lot of people are saying we're safe at the minute, but the way the league's been at the minute, with our last 12 games, again, I keep being negative about points, but how many realistically are we going to get? We're playing all of the top 6, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, the supposed top 6.
We're 10 points ahead of Fulham now, with 12 games to go. I can't see how, as a fan base, large swathes of people are sitting there saying we're safe. We're categorically not safe at all. We're not safe at all.
No. That's being sort of what's the word? Being sort of complacent, that gets you into trouble, and we can't be too complacent. We could go on a losing streak and maybe pick up 2 points, especially with the cup common fixtures we got. And Fulham, who's to say they couldn't actually win 4 and maybe draw 1? No.
Well, the way we're playing at the minute, we've got to play Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham, and it's just like all of these teams are going to put us to the sword if we play. Yeah, Leicester, even Villa.
Obviously we've got United up next. I mean, out of the games we've got coming up, I think we've got more of a chance against United because they've got a very static back four. We did expose them at their place. But we don't have Zaha.
We don't go forward, Steve.
Yeah, we did against them at their place. We exposed their back four quite significantly. But Zaha was a big part of that. If we play the same way we played at their place, we give ourselves a chance. If we play like we did today, absolutely no chance. We'll get overrun. Spurs, given how they played today, I think we're going to really, really struggle in that game. That's a certainty. Just going off piece today, the young kiddie that we announced on the substitution bench, Hannum, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's got brilliant stats this season for the under-23s. Can someone just please explain to me, what's the point in putting him on the bench if you're not even going to bring the kid on? If he's doing that well and he's in that good form, surely he deserves some minutes. Surely he deserves the opportunity just to go, hey, look at me. Hey, I'm here. I want to prove to you. And people like Luca, who did absolutely nothing again today other than get himself booked again, because that's just about as good as all he can do. I can't see how he justifies his place. It's beyond my comprehension at the moment.
He must have something over, boy. Has to.
I think he's promised Roy Hodgson a knee replacement at the end of the season. I think that's the case.
That's the only feasible sort of explanation to really.
Yeah, because today he couldn't even kneel, the poor bastard.
Yeah, I saw that. He's so good. He didn't want to get too low, but he ended up have to get back up.
I don't know where the points are going to come from.
Poor guy. Who want to manage Palace, eh?
We just don't seem like we've got any attacking threat at the minute, and I can't see that changing. I think we're going to play the same way. We're going to set out the same way, and then when we play these big teams that have got heavy hitters, we're going to find ourselves in big trouble. Because Fulham, realistically, if they had a striker today, could have won 3-0.
The weird thing is, boys, is when I don't know if you've noticed this. There's a pattern when one of our strikers actually scores. So Benteke got a 3 in 2 games, and then Mateta comes on and scores against Brighton. Benteke scores again. Immediately, the next game, it's switched up, and one of them gets dropped, or Batshuayi does well and then gets dropped, or Benteke plays well and gets dropped. I can't understand it. If a player scores, they're feeling confident. They're on top of the world. Don't remove that feeling and drop them the next game. What's the point? This chopping and changing lark is just causing more problems without even focusing on the fact that we're not scoring. Because the players immediately sitting there thinking, "Hang on a second, I've just got a goal.
Yeah,
I've just shown that I'm feeling confident, and now you're dropping me." So that makes him feel less confident.
That's going to put his middle finger up to the management, isn't it?
but to make that work, we need to play 4-4-2, and then who do you drop? Because what do you put Eze on the wing? Do you put Ayew on the other wing? Have Luca and Gyro in midfield, and then have the 2 up top? But then we're just not attacking, Steve. That's the problem. It's the whole focus is defend.
It's balmy. It's absolutely balmy. I saw someone put a tweet out. I can't remember what the actual title was, but we're involved. We're in the top 6 clubs that are involved in the most exciting games, but obviously for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, where we're conceding for fun. I mean, Hodgson has always been known for having a solid defence, but he's lost his way. He's lost that focus, and he's just making teams have an easy day against us. Because we're sitting back and we're just saying, "Come on, just take us apart," and they are quite often. We've seen it with Burnley, we've seen it with Newcastle, we've seen it with, Leeds at their place. The scoreline flattered us 2-0. It should have been 5 or 6. But the Hodgson aspect is you don't look at who you're playing against either. You look at the way Villa played against Leeds and beat them in the week, or this weekend. Sorry, they beat them because they went at them. They didn't sit back. We sat back and said, "Okay, just run us ragged. We don't mind," and we ended up losing. There's no real kind of intelligence being used against who you're playing each game.
Well, but when's the last time we dictated a game?
Probably a pre-season.
Well, West Brom 5-1.
Oh, okay. But do you know what? I have come to this conclusion that we invite pressure on purpose, so it looks like we can contain it and nick the ball and counter. It's like that's our only option.
But our counter attack is even lost now. We had one of the best counter attacking teams. So you go back.
Yeah.
When we first went up, we used to destroy Liverpool by playing like that.
Yeah.
And other teams, we would just hit them on the counter, and the pace was just too much. And now Hodgson seems to have destroyed that factor. That when we do have a chance to break, it just seems like there's just not the support.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you mentioned it, but the next 6 games they don't inspire me at all. I mean, Manchester United Wednesday, Spurs Sunday, the following weekend West Brom. Yeah, it could be and should be 3 points what we should be looking at, but
yeah,
it's we're at home again. That's the problem.
Take a point from that game.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be
no, we'll
plan for a point on that one.
and then we have Everton, then we have Chelsea, and then Southampton, which we've already beaten in this season. It's winnable. They're not in great form, and then it's Leicester, Man City,
Wow.
and Liverpool and Arsenal. The final 2 games with Villa and Sheffield United in between. There's only 3 or 4 games that are potentially games we could get points out of, and if Fulham go on a bit of a run,
we could find ourselves in a bit of trouble.
In my opinion, I agree.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be in that case. It shouldn't be that we're going into a season saying, let's survive.
By the skin of our teeth again.
Season after season, it's let's survive.
Wow.
Do you know what? Another ironic thing is that if we actually got the planning permission with this COVID, I probably could have built a ground by now.
Could have built a better team as well, joking.
I mean, I don't get anything that's going on at Palace at the moment. It just doesn't, and Parish is another thing. The guy never comes out and engages with the fans. He never tells us what's going on. He's never honest about it. The only time he comes out and does anything wise is social media, where he tweets when we win, and that's as rare as rocking horse at the moment.
He didn't even tweet after the Brighton game. Fucking hell.
No. Apparently, I saw a tweet that he's away on holiday at the moment. I'm not convinced that can be right.
No Wi-Fi or yachts.
I don't blame him, mate. I feel like going on holiday. Anything to stop watching bloody Palace play at a minute. But maybe that says it all, though, Steve. Even Parish has admitted defeat. He just thinks we'll stay up, we'll be all right, and then we'll go again. And I really hope that's the case. I really hope we're getting someone, and they get a rebuild, and this is actually the season that we kick on. But I mean, the torture that we're going to absorb between then and now is crazy, and it's happening.
Much. Do you think it's very unbearable to watch? I can't wait, to be honest, just to see what happens after United game, because I anticipate.
As horrendous as it was part of me that wanted us to lose to Brighton, so he'd get dismissed. They'd be like, right, that's enough there, Roy.
But that's the thing. I think we've looked at him for. I mean, what's he on? $4.5 million a year or something stupid like that.
Wow. Just retire now, please.
With a third of a season left, that's $1.5 million it's going to cost us to sack him.
Well, we'll do a whip round, yeah.
Start a GoFund. I'm sure we'll be able to do that in a week.
But if we're saying that we can't afford to do something like that, it beggars belief, because it's 140 million they're saying now to stay in the league or to get promoted. That's what you earn. What are we doing with that money? Where is that money going? Because you can't tell me that a large chunk of that is wages. I mean, if we're paying, it could. Well, I mean, it obviously is a large chunk of it is wages, and obviously COVID's affected us. But if we can only go out and sign one player in Eze, what are we doing? What are we actually doing as a club? If teams like Villa can, I know they've got really rich owners and stuff, and they've spent a lot of money, but they've only spent what you get for the Premier League. They've gone out and bought loads of players. They've looked at it. They, by the skin of their teeth, stayed up and gone out and invested. We've done nothing. We've just sat there and said, right, same old. We need to survive. And by the way, we've got the squad that can do it. That complacent attitude, which is the same every single season.
You're into trouble eventually. But the thing is, I look at it this way: we've made a world for our own back by making certain wage structures a certain height. Because every single player is going to come and say who's got what, who's got what, even though they're not supposed to know. But we've made a world run back for competing super high wages, and yet it's going to get out of control. We're going to end up having to fucking lose this player, lose that player, just to compensate for the lack of wages and save money that way.
Well, here's one for you. Is Eze a Hodgson player?
No, hands down.
So two attacking minded players for one.
I don't think any player that we've got is a Hodgson player. I think they become Hodgson players because he stifles the life out of them and forces them to do what he wants.
There's one
Kale.
One player that actually is Hodgson's player, Wayne Hennessy.
I think Cahill fits his mould, fits his way of playing.
Yeah.
But you need to put the captaincy on him, mate.
He's a dogged defender, isn't he? He's proper sort of old school, body on the line sort of thing.
I think we miss Tompkins
Massively.
Tompkins and Cahill is the right partnership. Dan's finished.
I don't want to ruin him, but Curtis today, every free header they had, it was his fault. Every time. He check at the back.
Yeah.
Every time they had a header, it was
everyone's
him.
Everyone's banging on about how he is a defender. No, he's not.
I don't think he is. He's not, no.
He's just been forced to go there because of injuries. And then Hodgson's looked at it and thought, oh, he's had a good game or whatever, and I'm going to stick with it now. He should be in midfield with Gyro, and Lucas should be dropped.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. But that's
how do we turn this around, though? Is it just the inevitable that it's only going to happen when Hodgson leaves?
I think the summer's going to be a really interesting summer. I mean, the first thing that's going to happen, I'm pretty confident it's going to happen, is Hodgson goes. Whether he goes upstairs or whether he moves on, they were talking in the commentary today on BBC, which the commentary was horrific, but they were talking about how Hodgson will look to maybe manage another club, maybe in Europe. I mean, whoever takes him, if that is the case, well, I mean, I think they're smoking the funny stuff.
What's he sleeping in? Is he sleeping in a cryo chamber?
I mean, what he does is what he does. I couldn't care less now. Yes, he's got Palace at his heart. Yeah. Can commend him for that all day long. He's a fan of the club, but as a manager, he's got no ability, in my opinion. And loads of fans will berate me for saying that. Will criticise me for saying, and even mentioning those actual words. The guy. I mean, today's just a prime example. Time and time again, we're struggling to create anything. We're 70-odd minutes in, again, haven't registered a shot on target. He brings on a defensive midfielder again. Just how do you honestly think that's going to change the game? How do you honestly think that's even going to give you a chance? It doesn't. It's not comprehensible. As a tactician, yes, I'm a fan of Palace. Yes, we're sitting here on a podcast talking about it, and yes, I have no experience in managing a club. But at the end of the day, if you're looking from the side point of view, which clearly he is as well, surely you should be looking at it thinking, right, if I do this and I do that, that might give us a chance. If I bring this guy on instead of that guy on, we might have an opportunity here to do something. And it doesn't even enter his mindset. It's just, well, I'll tell you what we need to do is just bring on another defensive-minded player and let's hold out for the draw. What, at home?
He's working on a lot of...
How are you even thinking that?
That's ridiculous. He's doing that just on the basis of law of averages, thinking, if I do it 20 times, it's got to happen once. No?
It blows my mind, mate. I'm getting sick of watching it, to be honest.
And the thing is, if he's sitting there and he's saying, or he's thinking to himself, I've got no outlets, I'm struggling with injuries, and we've been unlucky with injuries, but so is everyone else. Mm-hmm. There ain't one team this year that's not struggled with injuries.
Liverpool.
Leeds, all of them, they've all had their spells, Spurs, whatever. But I keep going back to the kids. If they're doing that well, surely there's a kid in there that's rapid, that can run up the wing and show what he's worth. Surely there's a kid that can sit in there and centre attacking midfield position and start playing the passes around to give us the opportunities. Surely there's options to give a chance to. I think those ignoring that. And Alex said it right at the beginning and in last week's show. If you've got an Academy 1, set up, Why aren't you utilising it?
Why can't we have a Paul Hart moment when he introduces Zaha against Cardiff? I'm sure there's, not saying there's players on that sort of level, but if you're going to push them up and bloody use them. What have we got to lose against Fulham? We played to the 80th minute thinking, do you know what? Nothing is working here. We haven't registered a shot on target. Let's take off Eze and to play for the point for the last 10. Wow, really?
I generally feel that we have the players on the pitch to do the job, though. Every time, like Eze, he's got so much potential.
Yeah.
You just got to take the shackles off. We got to get out of this back to basics nonsense. We tried to defend and we got stuffed by Liverpool, by Villa. Just, you're going to have to attack. If you want points, you have to attack. You can't just sit back and give up and give in to teams and expect that that's going to work, because it just doesn't work.
You're so capable of doing like great attacking, counter-attacking, or just build-up attacking, and yet it's almost like we get to a certain point and think, no one's following me up. Damn, I've got to go back because I've got no support.
I mean, even PVA, you go back a couple of seasons, PVA was always up the pitch. All right, people rinsed him for being out of position, but at least he was trying to drive the ball up the pitch. A lot of people with Klein and Ward, when they make the comparison, say Klein travels up the pitch more than Ward. But on Joe Ward, I think he's been fantastic recently. I know Klein's injured at the minute, but when he's called upon, I think he's done a pretty sterling job. But again, we just need to take the shackles off, because it's horrible at the minute. It really is.
We're suffering with injuries because a lot of our players are too old. You know, and it's taking its toll. You know, when you consider that you're defending for 80, 85 minutes a game and you're running your absolute arse off, this is why these injuries are happening, because fatigue is taking over. And it's just putting the players under the cosh. I mean, Klein's been injured a couple of times. Wilf's obviously out. We've got Tompkins out. We've got Sacco out. I mean, Sacco's a different kettle of fish because he's just constantly injured. Wickham is out, as per usual. Apparently, he was going to be back for this game, but I think he's taken another knock, apparently, or a setback. Which, does that shock you? Not really, because the guy's only there to pick up a wage. And we've got too many people. We've got too many players that are just there to pick up a wage. And there's no passion. There's no kind of desire to do something for the club. I know a lot of people berate Townsend, but I think he's lost his attacking impetus in a lot of ways where he can't beat players. But he's the only one that, you know, throughout this season is trying to cross the ball in. And no one, like today, that cross that he put in, no one attempted to get on the end of it. Just watched it. Oh, look, he's crossed it in.
But any threat today was coming from him. He put in some decent balls in the box, and that's when you want Benteke to be on the mark, awake, alive, get in the box, They had a chat apparently recently about all the goals and all the assists that Townsend had given Benteke. So they're obviously chatting to each other. There's a good feeling at the ground, but that's just not coming across from the pitch.
We're not transferring what goes on in the training ground to the pitch at all. I mean, if you're a manager and you can see that Townsend's causing the problems when he's knocking the ball in, just get Mateta on and play two up front. Don't bring on another defensive midfielder. Just get him up there. And you're the home side. Just go for it for the last 10, 15 minutes, rather than trying to hold out and stop yourself from losing against Fulham, of all people. You know, and it sounds disrespectful to say it, but at the end of the day, they're in the bottom three for a reason.
Yeah. But is it that fear factor that we could hand them points and they can claw closer to us, possibly?
What, doing Oldham?
I mean, it may well be the case, Ben, but at the end of the day, we're 13th. We should be looking up. We should be looking, where can we finish at the end of this season? Where can we pick up points? One game at a time. You know, it's a cliche, and naturally so. But we should be looking at how much higher can we finish. We've got what we got. 12 games left. We should be looking at that. It's 36 points available. You know, I'm not saying we would win all the games that are left. Clearly not. I'm not deluded. But, you know, 36 points to play for. We're on 30. What are we on now? 30?
33?
I thought it's 33.
I want to say it is.
Yeah, 33.
Yeah, 33 points. So, you know, it's a case of, right, let's just drive forward. Let's go for it. It doesn't matter who we play against, who the opposition is. Let's just actually go for it. Because the weird thing, as we've said, is right now we're sitting there with the most points at this stage, which completely shrouds the fact that the football has been that bad. And again, Hodgson's extremely lucky on that aspect.
Well, that's the problem. Is that that's there to hide behind, like the clean sheet today, like the win against Brighton. All people will see is the result, rather than actually watching the performance and going, "Oh Jesus!" And I mentioned the other week about the guy on TalkSport saying about watching reality TV. Why am I watching this rubbish? And then he went on to say, "I wonder if that's how Palace fans feel." And honestly, it is the case. You just sit there and you just think, "Come on, we know you got it in you. Come on, let's see it."
Even massive advocates of Palace, and regardless of how we play, some real positive accounts like, you know, Hopkins looking to curl one and those sort of people. Even they have been extremely negative, which is totally unlike them. They've had enough. Everyone's had enough.
Is there certain podcasts had enough yet, or they're still right on the fence or in?
I don't know who you're referring to, Al.
A 25-year plan.
YP.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't even listen to that, Dross, anyway, to be honest.
I end up seeing it on my feed because some people I follow like it. And I quickly follow them.
I don't know how you come out with any positives. I know we've drummed up probably 4 or 5 today, but that's pretty much a miracle. How we keep coming up with some sort of positive when we come out of these games. And,
well, I mean, as I said, IU played brilliantly against Brighton. You know, he had a half decent game again today, given the way we played circumstance-wise. But on the flip side, quite a few games this season he's been completely missing. His head's been down, and he hasn't been the same player. And he was dropped for a while. He wasn't in the mix, and all of a sudden he's got back in. But you know, at least he tries.
I don't know what the players can do, but surely they must be getting frustrated themselves. They know they can produce so much better than this. And it is the case, like you say, with looking at Fulham. All the teams underneath you in the league, you should be beating, really. And now we're looking at all these fixtures with all the teams above us in the league going, oh, God. And now it's miracle time again. Well, we've got to start pulling points from teams that are more than established. They've spent a lot of money. And we just seem miles behind. And it just seems to happen every season. You look at the likes of West Ham, I'd put us in the same sort of category as them. But they spend money. They bring players in. All right, you can argue that they spent silly money on the striker and they lost half their money. But at least they're trying. At least the ambition is there.
I ain't saying it, but look at them now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mute point, guys, but like, I'm not sitting there suggesting for any 1 second that right now I'm jealous of West Ham. I'm not at all. I'm a football person. I look at it and think, you know, fair play to West Ham. They're playing well and they're showing it. And you know, but you're quite right with what you say, Ben. The ambition that the board has shown, the players that they've bought, even though there's large swathes of West Ham fans sort of saying they want the owners out. Yeah. Fine, that's their prerogative to feel like that. But I certainly wouldn't be sitting there if Hodgson had us fourth. I wouldn't be sitting there saying a bad word about the guy. You know, I'd be respecting and grateful for the fact of how that result has come about. but there's no ambition to even try and get in the top 10 as a club. It's like he's at the heart of everything that we do on the pitch, and Parish has just said to him, we need to survive, and that's the genuine consensus. You know, at the beginning of the season, as I've said before in previous shows, it's right. I want you to get top 10. I want the players to really channel into the concept of let's aim for top 10, and you get everyone behind it as a team, as a strategy, as a culture. If you do it the other way around, say right, we just need to survive. Players are just accepting the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And they don't care if they don't play well. They don't care if the result isn't that great, and they'll take the odd result that you do get. But ultimately, they're not that bothered.
Yeah, they're not aiming higher to go low. They're aiming low to go even lower.
Exactly. You know, and if we get there at the end of the season, we're saying, oh yeah, another great result. We survived again. 9th season, here we come. In the end, we're just going to get consumed by it. We're going to be swallowed up. It's inevitable.
But what who do we bring in though? If that is our mentality and Hodgson goes, are we not just going to replace like for like? Because if that is the ambition, then it will be a like for like, surely.
Scotty
yeah,
Parker.
But everyone says that, don't they? Who do we get in?
Scotty Parker.
You know, who should we get in? It's like, well, we're a London club.
Yeah.
We're an established Premier League club. We should be able to attract a big swathe of people. The Nagelsmann types of people, you know, those sort of managers. Perhaps not. Perhaps we're not of the ilk of that to attract those people. But ultimately, attacking-minded managers and young managers, we should be able to attract. I mean, I'd even go as far to say that we should be able to attract someone like Gerrard and Swansea's Cooper and Brentford's Frank, because we are a Premier League club, so we should be able to at least be in a position where we can have a discussion with them. They might turn and say, no, it's not for me, and I'm happy where I am.
Is our choice of personnel then the wrongdoing, where we're not aiming high enough with the actual management?
We spend too much time sentimentally employing people.
Yeah.
We've got Sasa Sercic involved. We've got Mark Bright involved. We've got Dougie Freeman involved. We've got too many people. Do they have the qualifications? I'm not convinced they do. Do they have the experience? Not at all, but we've given them the experience. What do they actually do for our club? I'm not sure they do a lot. They might have Palace embedded in their mindset, in their hearts, but ultimately, we're just employing people for the sake of it because they're Palace employees, because they're ex-Palace players, you know, and they breed all Palace in terms of what aspects they undertake. But what do they actually do? I mean, aside of Eze, who's Friedman gone out and got for us? What has that recruitment team done for us? I can't think of anything.
No, you're right.
We've sat there and we've said we've needed a striker since the days of AJ and Murray, and gone out there and looked at anyone.
Adebayor.
Yeah, we concentrated on defenders and overspent and last minute transfers where we've hemorrhaged wages. It's clueless strategies that we've adopted. You know, when you look at it, you've got players out there like, you know, Brooks for Bournemouth, quality player, 21, 7 million they paid for him. They've gone down, and he can't even make their first team. We should be all over a player like that. You know, that. Yes, he's not a household name, but he's quality. Don't make no stretches or bones about that. The player's quality. Those sort of players, you know, Aston Villa went out and bought Konsa for 10 million. Look at him. He's class. You know, Liverpool looking at him now. What does our recruitment team do? I just can't. I genuinely can't see what they do.
Sit on their thumbs all day. Joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
But But are the funds there?
Probably not, because we're trying to save 1.5 million, not sacking Roy early.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. I mean,
I think he's banking on getting that windfall every season from the Premier League and how we finish.
yeah, but that windfall's covering the wages. So when you look at, apparently, I think they're clearly wrong. But Sky was saying there's 17 players out of contract. But you look at players like Benteke. Yeah, he's trying hard. He's got some decent goals for us. The one against Brighton was unbelievable, and we'll rejoice on that all day long. But his contract's coming at the end. He's 30. He's on 130 grand a week. Do we cut our losses and go out and get a younger striker, or even bring someone through and just give them that opportunity? Because that saves us. That one player alone is going to save us £500,000 a month.
Wow. We're going to pay Roy off in 4 months.
That's the sort of thing, and I haven't added it up because we don't know exactly what people want, but I'm pretty sure that there's the best part of I mean, if you did it on an average of 50 grand a player, there's the best part of £2.5 million a month that we could be saving, and we could probably pick up players for, I don't know, half of that. Let's be negative. They want to play. They want to prove that they can do something, and they've got the fitness and desire. When you look at it, you've got Luca as captain. The guy don't do anything. There's nothing from him other than a yellow card.
For me, there's exciting times ahead. Well, I'm hoping there is at the end of the season, because we have to rebuild. We've got no choice. Players, like you say, there's Deadwood. Maybe Deadwood's a bit of a harsh word, but like you say, once they're not at that level anymore, or they don't suit the manager that we bring in, or the manager actually uses his head and plays to the way that player needs to be played to score goals, then what do you do?
No, it's a difficult one, isn't it? But we certainly need to invest the time into recruiting the right manager, the right replacement. It needs to be right. And yeah, there could be, I mean, there will be massive changes at Palace over the summer. I'm pretty sure Zaha's going to go. I think there's definitely some younger players that can come through. And I'd like to see a manager that's going to come in and allow them to do that.
Well, the scary thing is that the rumour keeps floating around about Roy's extension. I mean, if I was Parish, I'd be bloody worried if he was to do that, because I don't think we'd fill the ground when COVID clears off and people are allowed back in that ground. If we're going to keep playing like this, then he's going to lose a lot of money.
You might as well keep the sponsor vinyls there throughout COVID, right?
Well, we're coming to the end of the show, guys. Let's talk about the 2 games we've got coming up, because we'll be talking next Sunday anyway. But what do we think the score's going to be? Do we have a chance against United?
Probably not. Not the way we're playing right now. No.
Do you think it's a hands down loss?
The 4 goals.
Yeah.
It's going to be probably 3-0.
2-0, I'll go.
Savage. And Sunday against Spurs, what we thinking? Do you think we were thinking that? Are we thinking 2 losses in a row?
It might be a bit.
Yeah.
3-1.
What? Well, we used to lose to Spurs 1-0 all the time, but they just seem to be improving all the time. Well, what did they win today? 3-4-0?
4-0 against Burnley.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Burnley stuffed us 3-0, so there you go.
I'm being very optimistic. 2-1 Tottenham.
I'm thinking we're going to lose to United, but we're going to get a draw against Spurs.
Okay.
Are we going to manage a shot on target, though?
Yeah. Well, no, it'd be a deflection. Own goal. Eric Dyer, own goal.
That'd be amazing.
All right, boys. Well, great show again tonight, and great discussion points. You've been listening to Eagles and Air on the Sportanarium stream. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll speak to you next time.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys. See you later, guys.